So I got a lot of my comments saying, how do I come out as a femboy? Here's this video for you guys. This video is gonna be both targeting femboys and LGBT. So if I say a lot of LGBT examples, you know why. First things first, I want to say is make a plan. I say make a plan because this is the most important step. And one thing to make sure is make sure you're a femboy or a part of the LGBT. If you're not confident enough that you're one of these, when you're coming out, you kind of doubt yourself and then things get confusing and it doesn't really end well. So you want to make sure you are 100% that, or you're confident enough that you are that. One next thing is also important. You need to ask yourself, are you financially dependent? Do you rely on your parents to give you money? Let's say they're paying for your college or paying for your room, and once you come out to them, they could possibly kick you out or stop paying for your college. That's not really a good thing. So if you are at a risk, wait till you are financially independent. Since you can be at a risk for losing college and being kicked out of the room, you want to pack a bag. What you want to put in your bag is money, of course, documents such as birth certificates and driver's license, since these are hard to replace. And you want to bring these things just in case you do get kicked out of the house. Bring something else for yourself too. Let's say there's something on the list that's important to you. Bring that. Next up is don't be at risk. This one should be pretty simple. If you get harmed physically or mentally, don't do it at all. That'll be the worst case scenario, and I don't want anything to happen to anybody. If you need help coming out, you want to talk to a friendly LGBTQ community around you, or talk to a counselor for possible options, or just don't come out to them at all since you're at a huge risk. Again, every family's different, and you can tell signs whether they're homophobic. Can you tell them? The question you want to be asking yourself is, are they homophobic, or has they showed support to the LGBT? These are very good indicators whether you should tell them or not tell them. If they have shown good support for the LGBTQ community, that's a good sign. If they're not homophobic, that's also a good sign. If they've shown a lot of hatred towards the LGBT community, such as like when your family's members came out and they treat them harshly, you don't tell them at all. If you don't know if they're homophobic or if they support the LGBT, you can hint LGBT subjects such as the news that came up, or if they talk about LGBTQ subjects themselves, you listen in. If you're also too afraid to come out to your parents first, you could also tell your friends first. This is a very good way to get experience to coming out, since your friends are usually more forgiving and friendly, but you still want to be aware of these indicators. Your friends could react the same way as your parents, or possibly worse. Usually friends are very supporting and understanding about you, while your parents could be a different story, because your friends like you for a reason, so you should come out to them first. But if they're homophobic or don't support the LGBT, then don't do it. Same thing with your parents. That happens too. Don't do it. All right, next up, you want to set up a place and time. This is what you don't want to do. You do not come out at major events. This could be weddings, birthday parties, or you're going to Disneyland. You don't want to do while they're distracted or have something else on their mind. If you come out during those times, they just don't really care, or they won't have the time to listen to you since they're focused on having fun, because they did not expect this at all. They're gonna be all up in their emotions and say things that they'll regret, and that'll put a lot of hurt to you without being intentional, which leads to this major rule: don't come out with distractions. If they're distracted, they're not going to listen to you. Easy as that. This also comes with TV and games. If they're doing one of these things, don't do it. And also, you don't want to bring in the person you're dating that is the same gender as you. That'll create more emotions in your parents, and that'll freak them out. It's also very important to give time to your parents and be very patient with them while you're coming out, because your parents most likely will bring the time and patience to listen to you, and you must have the same respect back. Even if they are treating you harshly, you still want to be patient and loving, because love is greater than hate. Well, let's say you're playing a game, some dude is above you doing better and starts screaming at you for doing dog and tells you advice on how to get better. You're not gonna listen to that guy because he's being toxic and you don't want anything to do with him. Some dude over here is loving and very nice to everybody, team player, and he tells you advice on how to get better. You're gonna listen to them, which leads to my next thing. You don't have to come out alone. You could bring somebody that could help you, such as your friend or somebody else that also supports the LGBT or supports femboys, or you can keep in contact with somebody that can house you if necessary, if your parents do kick you out. But also make sure in that friend's house, your friend's not homophobic nor their parents aren't homophobic. As I mentioned this, you want to throw your expectations. People's first reactions isn't what you really think of. You're probably going to think everybody's going to be all happy, everybody's going to be all loving, they're going to throw a nice fancy party. That's not going to happen. Everybody reacts differently, which leads to my thing. Their reactions reveals them. So if they treat you harshly, that's not your fault. That's their fault for treating you harshly. Whether it's intentional or unintentional, keep calm and try to push through it. Some people would treat coming out as casual. Some people might already know you're LGBT or femboy. Some people will be shocked. Some people will be angry. A lot of emotions could happen. It's too unpredictable, so have your expectations low. And also, your parents were not given enough time to prepare for this news, and you have prepped for a while about your sexuality or your femboy traditions. So throw your expectations, which leads to my next thing. They're going to ask a lot of questions. You got to be prepared for them. Some of them could be offensive, which is usually unintentional. Whenever this occurs, don't take it too personal. They just want to get to know you better, and that's why they're asking these questions. They're not saying it to harm you on purpose. They're just trying to understand you. You want to stay calm and answer in a loving manner no matter what happens. And there's also questions where you feel uncomfortable answering and you don't have to answer. There will be questions that will be asked that make you feel uncomfortable. and you don't have to answer them. You could also tell them to come back a different time and recollect their thoughts and ask you again whenever. And just remember to stay patient. Okay, now you're probably feeling anxious, like, oh gosh, this is a lot to take in, which it is. I'm gonna tell you how to feel calm during these scenarios. You want to ground yourself. What I mean by that is that you want to tell yourself the 5 emotions you censor, which is sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing. Like for me, I hear noise in my headphones. I smell my room. I could feel my t-shirt touching me. By you telling yourself these emotions, it makes your brain realize that you're okay and you're safe. Next, you want to tell yourself the most logical explanation. Get a journal, get a post-it note, paper, whatever it is, and write down your thoughts. Write down what's the most realistic approach. Everyone is different. Every household is different. You want to tell yourself the most realistic, which could be the conversation is the worst that could happen. Maybe they might yell at you. Maybe you might get kicked out. Everything is different. And you want to write down your thoughts and how you're feeling too. Like, are you feeling scared? Are you feeling concerned? Are you feeling sad and anxious? Whatever you wrote that on that, you throw away in the trash can afterwards, which hypothetically makes you seem like you throw away your concerns. Next, you want to visualize yourself being calm, which you can myself being at a nice beach, at a nice forest, whatever you could be, whatever makes you comfortable and feel safe in. Imagine that. Next up, you want to focus on the positive. Again, when you come out, make sure it's out of love. Love is greater than hate. And remember to stay calm and patient. It's very important to have confidence while coming out. Whether you're LGBT or femboy, your parents will try to make you quote unquote ungay. What do I mean by that is that they'll ask you questions such as, are you really sure about this? Are you really sure you're this? What about the person dated before? Your clothes wearing? Having confidence reassures that you are that sexuality or you're into those femboy traits. So your parents have to just live with it and deal with it. Okay, now we're gonna come out. Now, one of the first things you want to address while coming out is who you could tell. Let's say you tell your parents. They're gonna tell your aunt Fortnite and your cousin Junior. Let's say you want to tell your aunt about it, but not Junior. Make sure you're telling that, because while they're coming out, you want to empathize with your parents. Your parents have expectations of you for having children, cisgender wife, or they probably think you're wearing your own normal clothes. I don't know. Depending on what you're coming out to, your parents will say offensive things unintentionally just to get to know you. Like they'll ask questions that might be offensive, but you have the choice to respond, whether to respond to that or not. However, if there is a question that you do want to address, you want to respond in a calm manner, because being calm is way more better than hate. You'll respond better to calmness than hatred. After you address that, you want to explain to your parents what you need to hear from them, because your parents want to be there for you almost all the time. So you want to make sure you can tell them how you feel loved in the family and what you need to hear from them, since that's what parents are there for. If they don't do that, then you don't deserve them. So, you know, fuck. Let's say things don't go so well. Parents do some mean stuff, your friend does, whatever it is. Remember that their reactions reveals their true colors, okay? You don't deserve that bad stuff. It reveals their true personality on how they view the subject. Sometimes they can change their mind later on. Sometimes they regret the things they say. But if they don't ever do that, then you don't deserve them. Remember that. Also, you do you. Your family loves you. The vision can be blurry and f***ed up at times, but you deserve to love whatever you like. Parents have this unconditional love for the child, but they don't know how to express it. So when you come up with news like this, they might say whatever's in their head, but they don't probably really mean it. Sometimes. Other times they can just be a so just be prepared for that. So that this is the beginning, not the end. When things don't go well, it could seem like that's the end of everything. It's okay to continue the conversation over time. Let's say your parents said something and you don't feel comfortable answering, or your friends. You can say, can we talk about this a different time? It'll help you and your parents to process the information and go over in their head, and it'll make things more clear. You want to leave the opportunity open for future exchanges, since your parents can bring up, or your friends can bring up another question about you, and you still want to respond to that. If your parents don't have LGBT friends or family members or any like education about that kind of stuff, you could get in the educational sources. This will be good to help your parents understand you better, and it'll educate them. PFLAG and the Family Acceptance Project, that's helpful advice to give. And also, coming doesn't end. You don't go into a room saying, I'm straight, or I'm bi, or I'm femboy. I mean, if you're wearing a maid outfit, it kind of shouts that out, but you don't have to tell everybody about it, you know? Do what you want to do. And I hope these help out. Sorry if it took me a long time to make this. I had to think about what to do in college. Please leave a like. Please share this around. It'll help me a lot, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.